Hello guys, you're on the Stolen Audio Diaries. Subscribe and like.
You know those moments where time sort of bends? Where everything slows down and speeds up at the same time. That's what happened the second I heard Travis Miller say my wife's name. It was a regular afternoon at the warehouse. Hot as hell outside, the kind of heat that sticks to your neck even when you're indoors. My team was behind on processing 3 deliveries. The AC was making that low rattling sound again, and my only concern walking down the hallway was finding some printer paper and maybe 5 minutes of peace. I wasn't looking to overhear anything, but the minute I stepped into the supply room, I stopped cold. Not because of what I saw, there was nobody in sight at first, but because of what I heard. 2 voices. One of them unmistakably Travis. Brandon's wife, Haley. He was saying, a little too loud, a little too proud. She was all over me in Vegas, man. You should have seen her. Drank way too much and showed up at my door like it was her idea. There's this feeling when your body tries to convince your brain that it didn't just hear what it heard. A tiny voice in your head goes, you misheard. There are 1,000 Haleys in the world. This isn't about your Haley. But it was. I stayed hidden behind a stack of storage bins and a wall of shelves stacked with toner and outdated shipping labels. My breathing went shallow. Travis kept going. I mean, come on. She said she had a migraine or whatever, told Brandon she was staying in. Then an hour later? Boom. Knocks on my door with a bottle of wine she charged to his room tab. Wore that little black dress. Remember? The one from the company dinner? Yeah, that one. The other guy, some temp from Arizona, I think, laughed nervously. I could tell he didn't know what to say. But Travis? He was eating up the attention. She said something like, don't tell anyone. Brandon wouldn't understand. He lowered his voice, mock whispered. I just feel so trapped in that marriage. Can you believe that? Trapped. Every word hit harder than the last. I remember that Vegas trip. It was 3 months ago. Haley had tagged along last minute for what was supposed to be a quiet few days while I handled some logistics planning for a partnership deal. She told me she'd spend the nights relaxing in the hotel. Said she needed a break from her routine, that her head had been pounding for days. I believed her. I even brought her medicine that night before heading out to meet the regional guys for dinner. She had kissed me on the cheek, eyes tired, and said, be safe, babe. Text me when you're done. And now here was Travis, describing a completely different version of that same night. One where I was the fool, tucked into bed early with my work laptop, and she was out, knocking on his door dressed to the nines. I felt my jaw lock. My hands started to shake, just a little, not out of rage, yet. It was more like shock, a surreal kind of pain. I'd taken bullets for less betrayal. Back in the Navy, trust was the only currency we had. And now, the guy I'd trained, the guy I vouched for when management was debating whether to hire him on full-time. He was talking about my wife like she was some girl he picked up at a bar. She kept saying not to feel bad, he said, chuckling. Told me they hadn't slept together in weeks, that she was basically already single. I mean, who was I to say no, right? I leaned back against the metal shelving. For a moment, I wasn't in that warehouse. I was floating somewhere outside my body, watching all this unfold like a scene in a movie I couldn't stop. I didn't say anything, didn't storm in, didn't demand answers. I just stood there, heart hammering, fists clenched so hard I thought I might crack a bone. I wanted to believe Travis was lying, making it up to sound impressive. But the detail, the timing, the dress, it all matched. Eventually, the conversation faded as they walked out. I heard Travis say something like, hey, don't mention this to anyone. She'd freak if it got out. And then their footsteps disappeared down the hall. I waited a full minute before I moved. My body felt heavy, like my bones were wrapped in lead. I grabbed the damn ream of paper I came for and walked back to my office, moving on autopilot. Sat down, closed the door, stared at my screen like it had answers. My coffee was still sitting on my desk, stone cold now. I took a sip anyway just to feel something. That's when the doubts started. The rationalizations. Maybe he's exaggerating. Maybe Haley had too much to drink and something innocent got twisted. Maybe, but deep down I already knew. This wasn't just a slip-up. It wasn't a misunderstanding. This was betrayal, raw and ugly, served up casually between two coworkers on company time. And the worst part? She looked me in the eyes that night. She kissed me. She told me to be safe. It took me a full day to work up the nerve to bring it up. Not because I was scared of her reaction, though I probably should have been, but because I didn't know what the hell I'd even say. Hey, Haley, your coworker bragged about sleeping with you in Vegas. Any truth to that? It all felt so insane. And yet, something in me had already crossed over into a place I couldn't come back from. That supply room conversation shattered whatever blind faith I'd been clinging to. I didn't sleep much that night, just laid there in the dark, listening to the faint hum of the ceiling fan and her slow, steady breathing beside me. She curled up like she always did, like nothing had changed. Couldn't even look at her. The next evening, it was just starting to cool off when we ended up on the back porch. Not planned, not dramatic. It just happened. The sun was dropping behind the trees, painting everything in this golden light that, under different circumstances, would have felt peaceful. But not that night. She was sitting on the porch swing, legs folded up under her, thumbing through her phone like she was checking Instagram or texting someone. Her face glowed in the screen light. She didn't even look up when I came outside. I stood there for a second, hands gripping the railing, watching her like she was someone I didn't quite recognize. And then she said it just like that. No warning, no build-up. "I'm tired of you," Haley muttered, barely looking up from her phone. "The fact that you're not a real man, that's your problem." I blinked. I didn't even respond right away. I think my brain had to run it back 3 times just to believe she'd actually said it. Her tone was flat, emotionless, like she was commenting on the weather. "What?" I finally said quietly. She sighed like I was exhausting her. "Don't make me repeat it. You heard me." That was the moment it all clicked. The disinterest, the coldness, the way she'd stopped looking at me, stopped touching me, stopped everything. I'd been trying to convince myself it was stress. Maybe work, maybe something I'd done wrong. I'd even suggested therapy once, which she brushed off with a sarcastic, "Why? So we can talk about your feelings?" But now I saw it for what it was. Not stress, not a rough patch, indifference. "Is that what you think of me?" I asked. "That I'm not a real man?" She didn't answer right away, just scrolled through whatever app she was on like I wasn't even there. "You're just small," she said finally. "You don't take control. You don't make me feel anything. I look at you, and it's like nothing." My jaw clenched, but I stayed silent. I wasn't going to yell. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction. But inside, I was unraveling. This was the same woman who used to call me her rock. The same woman who wrote me love letters during my last deployment. Who used to sit on this exact porch, wrapped in a blanket, leaning into my side like I was her whole world. Now she was throwing words like knives. I think what cut deepest wasn't even the insult, it was the casual cruelty. Like she'd rehearsed it. Like she'd said it to someone else before, maybe even as a joke. "You've been distant," I said, finally breaking the silence. "Avoiding me, dodging questions. You don't look me in the eye anymore. Why?" She glanced at me briefly, eyes tired and bored. "Because I don't want to." "You don't want to?" "No, Brandon. I don't want to look at you. I don't want to pretend anymore. It's exhausting." I felt something crack in my chest. I thought I was prepared. Thought I'd braced myself after hearing what Travis said. But this was worse. This was her looking me in the eye and confirming what I already knew, but without the decency of guilt. "You used to love me," I said. "Maybe," she replied. "Or maybe I just liked the version of you I built up in my head." There it was again. That tone. Detached. Like she was narrating someone else's breakup. She wasn't angry. She wasn't sad. She was just done. Checked out. Like this was just another line item on her to-do list. I turned away, gripping the porch railing like it might hold me up. My knuckles turned white. "You've been hiding your phone, going out late, dressing up for girls' nights that never seem to have any photos. You think I don't notice?" Another sigh. Another eye roll. Jesus, Brandon. You sound paranoid. You're lying to me. And you're being pathetic. That last word hung in the air. Heavy. Final. I nodded, slowly. Something inside me, something loyal, something naive, finally gave up the fight. She stood up, walked past me without a glance, and slid the screen door open. You can sleep on the couch tonight, she said over her shoulder. If that makes you feel like more of a man. Then she disappeared inside. The door clicked shut behind her. And just like that, everything we ever were ended. That night, I stared at the ceiling from the couch, numb and hollow. The only sound in the house was the tick of the wall clock and the occasional creak from upstairs, where Haley was, undoubtedly asleep like nothing had happened. I used to feel at home in this house. Now I felt like a guest overstaying his welcome. I didn't plan on checking her phone. I really didn't. But around 3 a.m., when I heard her muffled laugh through the floorboards above me, light and flirtatious like it used to be with me, I cracked. I sat up, heart pounding, mind racing, and I told myself I just needed to know. I wasn't going to touch anything. I wasn't going to snoop. I was just going to see. So I crept upstairs, silent as a ghost, and found her phone on the nightstand. Unlocked. Face down, like always, like a dare. And I failed. What I saw, I couldn't unsee. Text threads from numbers I didn't recognize. Guys saved as first names only, or worse, just initials. T, Chris M, JT. The one from Travis was buried deeper, further down. Maybe she'd stopped messaging him, or maybe they'd moved to a different app. Either way, the things she sent, they weren't vague. They weren't emotional. They were graphic, shameless. Pictures, messages, inside jokes, video clips she definitely didn't take alone. The timestamps didn't lie. Some of it was from the night she said she was out with her sister. Another from when she claimed she was working late. There was a video of her laughing in the passenger seat of someone's truck, holding up a margarita like she was 21 again. My thumb hovered over one photo for too long. It was her in our bathroom mirror, wearing lingerie I'd never seen before, biting her lip, captioned, "Thinking of you." Not sent to me. I sat there in the dark, her phone burning in my hand like it was radioactive. Every message I opened unraveled a little more of the life I thought I knew. These weren't just flings. These were habits, patterns, rehearsed excuses, lies she'd gotten comfortable with. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't hiding it because she felt guilty. She was hiding it because she didn't care enough to be honest. At some point, the rage faded. The hurt, that stayed. But I stopped feeling shocked. The part of me that still hoped she'd deny everything, that she'd cry and beg and tell me it wasn't what it looked like, that part died. I went back downstairs and didn't sleep a second. By morning, I was a different man. She came into the kitchen wearing one of my old t-shirts like nothing had changed. Hair a mess. Phone in her hand again. "Hey," she said casually, like the last 12 hours hadn't happened. "Can you pass me the oat milk?" I didn't even look at her. Just said, "We need to talk." She rolled her eyes, already bored. "Here we go. I went through your phone." That got her attention. She froze mid-pour, her back to me. Then slowly she turned. "You what?" I saw everything. The messages. The pictures. Travis. JT. All of it. She didn't panic. She didn't even try to lie. Instead, she clicked her tongue and said, "That's your problem." That was all. I blinked. "Excuse me? You went looking, and now you're upset. That's on you." I just stared at her. No apology. No shame. Just pure, cold defiance. Like I was the one who'd done something wrong. She sat down, bit into her avocado toast and added, "I'm not even mad that you looked. Honestly, I was waiting for it. I figured you'd eventually grow a spine." Something in me broke right then. Not loud, not dramatic, just snapped, quietly, like a rubber band stretched too far. "You don't even feel bad," I said, voice barely above a whisper. "For what?" She shrugged. "For living my life? For not tiptoeing around your delicate little ego." I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor. She didn't flinch. "You cheated on me. And That was it. That was the moment I knew there was nothing left to save. No therapy, no couples retreat, no miracle waiting around the corner. The woman I married was gone, or maybe she'd never existed in the first place. Later that night, she walked out of the house in a tight black dress, hair done, lipstick perfect. She didn't say where she was going, didn't ask permission, didn't lie. She just looked me up and down like I was invisible and said, "Don't wait up." Then the door slammed behind her like punctuation. She didn't even take her wedding ring off, because she wasn't pretending to be married anymore. That night, after she walked out, I didn't turn on the TV, didn't scroll my phone, didn't even move from the kitchen. I just stood there, hands braced on the counter, staring at the empty mug she left beside the sink. Lipstick mark still on the rim. Half a bite left on her toast. It was like a crime scene I couldn't clean up. I kept hearing the sound of her heels fading down the driveway, the door slam still ringing in my ears. My mind went into this slow, cruel loop, replaying everything that used to feel warm, only now it all stung. Like the way she used to hum when she folded laundry. I thought that meant she was happy. The way she would reach for my hand when we crossed the street, even when there were no cars. Like it was second nature. The way she cried the night I shipped out for deployment, gripping me like she couldn't stand the thought of letting go. All of that, all of those memories, they used to be my proof. My reassurance that we were solid, that we were real. Now, they felt like someone else's life. Because lately, all I heard was the sound of her laughing in the other room. Never with me. Always on the phone. Always quieting down when I entered. Lately, she didn't hum when she folded laundry. She gave orders. "Don't forget to do the whites," she'd say without looking up. "And don't shrink my sweaters again." And when we crossed the street now, there was no hand to reach for. Just space between us. I sat in the living room, the house dim except for the glow from the kitchen. The same couch where she used to curl up next to me now felt too big. Her perfume still lingered on the throw blanket, and I hated how my body responded. Still missing her scent, even now, like muscle memory hadn't caught up to heartbreak. I tried to remind myself of who she was now. Not who she used to be or pretended to be, but who she'd become. Cold, dismissive, smug. The kind of woman who could look her husband in the eye and say, "That's your problem," after getting caught cheating. But my heart, it hadn't gotten the memo yet. I got up and wandered the hallway, turning off lights she always forgot to switch off. Picked up the shoes she kicked off without thinking. Her presence was everywhere, woven into the fabric of this house. The hallway mirror where she used to take selfies. The nightstand where she kept her nail polish and that stupid little book of affirmations. The fridge still stocked with her oat milk and expensive yogurts I never touched. I passed by the laundry room and saw the basket she left out. My clean clothes still unfolded. And I swear, in that moment something flipped. This was my house. I paid every bill, maintained every damn inch of it. And yet, I was the one living like a ghost. Quiet, careful, shrinking myself to avoid another snide comment or dramatic outburst. I used to walk on eggshells just to keep the peace. I thought it was temporary, a phase. I told myself she's just stressed. Give her time. She'll come around. But the truth? She didn't want to come around. She liked the distance, liked the freedom, liked seeing how far she could push before I pushed back. And I never did. Until now. Around midnight, I heard her come back. Door creaking open like a thief in her own home. Her heels clacked through the hallway. She didn't bother to tiptoe. Didn't look for me. I stayed in the shadows, listening. She tossed her keys on the entry table. Clicked through her phone. Laughed at something, probably a message from one of them. One of the guys she texted while sitting across the dinner table from me. Then, after a beat, she called out, "Brandon? You forgot to do my laundry again." "No, I'm home." "No, hey." Just that. Like nothing happened. Like we hadn't just crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. I didn't answer. She didn't ask twice. Just walked upstairs and shut the bedroom door behind her. The click of the lock like a slap in the face. That night, she stayed in our bed while I stayed in the guest room. I stared at the ceiling again, like I had the night before. But this time I wasn't heartbroken. I was pissed. Because she could still sleep soundly after everything. Because she didn't even flinch when I said I saw the messages. Because she still acted like she owned this place. Like I was the one who should be apologizing for breaking the illusion. She thought silence meant surrender. She was wrong. The next morning I was going to tell her to pack her things. And this time, I wasn't going to ask twice. She came downstairs late the next morning, later than usual. No apology. No mention of the night before. Just barefoot on the hardwood. Yawning like nothing in the world could touch her. I was already at the kitchen table, dressed, coffee half gone. Divorce paperwork laid out in front of me like a loaded P*N. When she saw them, she froze mid-step. She stared for a beat, then reached for the cabinet, grabbed a mug, and said without looking at me, "So, we're doing paperwork now." I didn't answer at first. I just kept my eyes on her, waiting for her to flinch. She didn't. She poured her coffee, added oat milk, and took a sip like it was any other Thursday. "I'm filing today," I said. She gave a small, theatrical sigh. "Finally doing something, huh?" The air between us crackled. She set her mug down a little too hard. "You know," she continued, leaning against the counter, "most men, real men, don't whine their way through a breakup. They don't sneak around checking phones like children. But hey, at least now you're finally interesting." That one cut deeper than I expected. Not because I believed her, but because I knew she did. She genuinely thought this was a game. That she'd broken me so completely I'd never be able to stand up again. "I'm not here to entertain you," I said. "I'm here to end this." She crossed her arms and smirked. "Good. I'm tired of pretending." I nodded. "Then pack your things." "I'm not going anywhere," she said, casual as ever. "This is my house too. You don't pay for it." "That's cute," she said with a fake smile. "You think that matters in court?" She turned her back to me and started rummaging in the fridge like we hadn't just declared war. I stared at her, trying to figure out if this was how it had always been. If she'd always been this cold and I was just too in love to see it. She made avocado toast, of course. She always made it when she wanted to feel in control. 2 slices, perfectly sliced avocado, chili flakes, sea salt. She made it like someone else was watching, like a camera might be on her. Then she sat across from me, chewing with complete disinterest, and asked, "So who's your lawyer?" I didn't answer. She grinned. "Don't have one yet? You should probably get on that. Oh, and maybe hide your search history next time." That's when I realized. She wasn't scared. She was amused. I stood up, chair scraping the floor, and said as calmly as I could, "You need to go." She laughed. "Sweetheart," she said, "this isn't a movie. You don't get to kick me out just because your little feelings got hurt. If you don't like it here, you can leave." Then she reached into the cabinet and pulled out my favorite mug. The one from our first trip together. The one that said, "You, me, coffee, always." She looked me dead in the eye and let it slip from her hand. It shattered on the floor. She didn't even flinch. I walked out before I said something I couldn't take back. Took my keys, got in the truck, and just drove. No destination. Just away. From her. From the sound of glass. From the cold kitchen that used to feel like home. I ended up at a diner 15 miles out. The kind that still smells like cigarette smoke and serves coffee in thick white mugs. I sat in the corner booth and let the silence settle around me. For the first time in weeks, I didn't check my phone. Didn't think about what she might be doing. Didn't even look at the clock. The waitress came over. She looked about 60, hair in a bun, eyeliner from another era. "Rough morning?" she asked. I nodded. She poured my coffee and said, "You'll get through it, Han. The trash always takes itself out eventually." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it was the first thing that felt honest in a long time. When I got back home, she was gone. Not moved out, just out. Her makeup was still scattered on the bathroom counter. Her shoes lined up by the door. Her voice still echoed in the rooms. But physically, she was nowhere to be found. There was a note on the fridge. It said, "I'll be back when I feel like it. Don't touch my stuff." I almost laughed again. Almost. Instead, I grabbed a trash bag and started with her closet. Not the whole thing, just the crap she left on the floor. The pieces she didn't care about. The ones that smelled like perfume I didn't recognize. Every shirt, every heel, every leftover wine glass went into the bag. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done. Done shrinking myself to fit the version of a husband she thought I should be. Done waiting for her to feel something. Done hoping for apologies that would never come. This was betrayal in broad daylight. Not some one-night mistake. Not a drunken regret. It was daily, casual, practiced, and I wasn't going to live inside it anymore. After our confrontation, life turned surreal. For weeks, Haley's apologies came with blame. Every drunken call and tearful text was followed by a selfie captioned, "New chapter." I clung to the memories of the woman I once loved, but her actions split our world into two. The life I believed in and the one she embraced with careless freedom. She claimed confusion and a need for space, yet every gesture confirmed she'd chosen another path. I felt trapped between the fading hope of our past and the stark reality of her indifference. A world where our shared home was now filled with a chilling silence. Collecting the divorce papers was like sealing my fate. Haley refused to sign anything without a court order, and, when I mentioned legal help, her eyes sparkled with defiance. She threatened to accuse me of emotional abuse if I got clever, even emailing complaints to my boss. Each low blow stung like slow poison. Then, without warning, I found a note on my desk. "You'll crawl back." It was as if she intended to burn bridges while dragging me through the wreckage of our marriage. Her cruelty wasn't a one-time burst. It was a daily ritual punctuating every interaction with venom. In the aftermath, silence reigned over our shattered home. Haley eventually moved out, leaving behind empty rooms that echoed with the ghost of her presence. I dismantled remnants of our shared life, removed the welcome sign, tossed out the name-stitched pillow, in hopes of erasing her lingering scent and the memory of her footsteps. Yet every corner whispered remnants of a love once warm. The storm had passed, but its silence was deafening. Alone in the dark, I realized that each quiet moment was a reminder of the life we once had, now crumbled into dust and emptiness. Haley's final act was a war of guilt. Days later, she began sending photos of my old belongings with mocking notes like, "Remember how much you loved me?" Her voice messages carried thin, yet menacing threats. "Answer me, or I'll make a scene at your job." On social media, she spun a tragic tale, portraying herself as a victim abandoned by love. Privately, her texts promised retribution. "You'll regret losing me soon." Each message was a calculated move to keep me tethered to her, even as she stepped away. It was manipulation wrapped in sorrow, a final attempt to control the narrative of our demise. I left the chaos behind for a quieter corner of town, renting a modest studio where no one shouted or slammed doors. In that silence, I rediscovered a part of myself long buried beneath the weight of betrayal. I slept without fear, cooked what I liked, and embraced the calm that came with solitude. One morning, I woke to my own laughter echoing in a dream, a sign of renewal. I realized I had returned to myself. Though echoes of the past still whispered, I was finally free from the screaming and the lies. I was ready to rebuild my life one peaceful day at a time.
Bye bye guys, thank you for watching.